Hello. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching, for sticking with me, even though my videos can be really boring and you probably switch off partway through because I don't know how to edit and I don't know how to do the caption things or really how to do anything because I'm too old for all that and I need someone to teach me, sit down and teach me how to make my videos more interesting. So for all of you that have stuck with me through this and are still watching, I think you're bloody amazing. And I know that you must be very caring individuals to kind of like watch this and see what's happening every week to do with mental health and to do with my life and whatever. So God bless you. Anyway, okay. Today I did say that I wanted to do a vlog on severe mental illness and violence, but I want to do it on domestic violence. There are studies that have been done on, lots of studies actually, on mental health and violence, and pretty much what all of them say, and I will do another vlog on that. I have the stuff printed off. What they say is that you're more likely to be attacked physically by a so-called sane person than you are a mentally ill person, and mentally ill people are more likely to be the victims of violence. But when you look into that, one of the main features of that is women and domestic violence. Yes, men go through domestic violence as well. I'm not going to minimise that and minimise what they go through and what they have to put up with, or say that women, oh yeah, it's fine, hit your man, no, it's not. So what I'm going to concentrate though on now is women and domestic violence with mental health issues. So normally in my vlogs I talk about people with quite severe mental health issues. I myself have schizo affective disorder. Some people I know have schizophrenia or severe bipolar disorder, and but mental health is a broad spectrum. And I think the study that I found another study, so I'm going to be reading from that, and I know that's boring, but it's the best way of kind of giving the most accurate information. It can't just be from me. I mean, after I've read a bit from the study, I will talk about my own personal things. I'll try and keep it limited because I don't want to upset people that know me. But yeah, there is a huge problem with women who have mental health issues, whether it be depression, not just severe mental health issues, you can have severe depression though, and anxiety, or bipolar type 2, or many things, even to do with borderline personality disorder. People with borderline personality disorder end up in all sorts of fixes. They're like, I kind of have it myself, and it's like someone with a personality disorder, it's like sending them out into the big wide world, and emotionally they're still like children and they need a lot of looking after, which people don't often get, because there are many men out there, and many women too, I'm sure, many people out there who, when they see someone with a severe mental health issue or any other kind of mental health issue, or just severely bad self-esteem, they don't think, oh, isn't that sad, I really need to support this person and help them to be the best they can be. No, they home in there, they think, great, I can do whatever the fuck I like, and this person is going to put up with it. They're going to put up with all my shit, all my fucking shit. And don't be fooled, just because you can't see through people very easily, because you think everyone is kind and nice like you, don't worry, these people, they see through you very easily, and they can see that you can be manipulated, and they see your soft spots, and they're cold-hearted, and they don't give a shit, because it's about them and their issues. So if you have like self-esteem issues, mental health issues, you need to be aware. You need to be aware that domestic violence is a huge problem, I'm gonna get to the thing now. All the facts and figures. Oh, so interesting. I love it, but I know not everyone does. Okay, so here we go. This study I found is by somebody called Kelsey Hegarty, and she's got an MBBS, a DIPRACOG, don't know what that is, an FRACGP, and a PhD. I know what a PhD is, it means she's a doctor. That's it. And she's done a little study called Domestic Violence, the Hidden Epidemic Associated with Mental Illness. And this is kind of like extracts from the British Journal of Psychiatry. You can find this free online of of her bigger report. So this is just extracts. So before I get to that, I'm kind of too woo today. It's probably to do with the bottle of wine I just drank, but we know we're going to work hard on that. The last kind of vlog I did, I was just quite depressed. I wasn't even as severely depressed as I can get, even though I smelt of onions. And I want to sort of like make a point now that what a difference a day makes. You can feel really low and feel really low for quite a while, and I'm not saying I'm great. And within a day something can happen, or you can turn yourself around, you can really focus and turn yourself around. And that's what I kind of want to impress upon you that do have the illness, is that we need to get this in our heads, that just because we feel absolutely desperate at times, it doesn't mean that we need to act on those impulses, because maybe by the next day you're not going to be feeling as bad, okay? And you'll put your makeup on like I did, and I think my false eyelashes are coming off, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to go back to the report. We'll try and be serious now. Don't turn off just because it's all like factual and whatever. Oh my god, my eyes. So what she says here, I'll read most of the first paragraph and then just bits out of the rest of it. It's not very long. She says domestic violence is a common hidden problem for women attending clinical practice and is a major cause of mental health globally. So domestic violence is a cause of mental illness. Yes, we know. Domestic violence is defined by the World Health Organization, WHO, as any behaviour within an intimate relationship that causes physical, psychological or sexual harm. Such behaviour includes acts of physical aggression, psychological abuse, forced intercourse and other forms of sexual coercion, and various controlling behaviours. For example, isolating from family and friends, monitoring movements and deprivation of basic necessities. The WHO, World Health Organization, multi-country study on women's health estimated, now think about these figures for a second, that 15 to 71% of women had ever been physically or sexually assaulted by partners. 15 to 71%, that's very vague. That doesn't mean anything at all, really. Domestic violence is the leading cause of morbidity and mortality for women of childbearing age. So the World Health Organization has found out that the major cause of young women dying, women of childbearing age, women who are at their most productive, their most fertile, their most creative, their strongest, domestic violence is the main cause of their death throughout the world. And we know the figures are, it's well known in the UK that at least 2 women die a week due to domestic violence. I don't know if the figures are still the same now, but that's what they used to say. And that the scariest time is when you're leaving a partner. Yeah. So, with the main contribution being from the mental health consequences of the abuse. So maybe she wasn't killed. Maybe they're talking here about suicide. I don't know. Part of it. It's not very clear. I'm sure in her whole article she makes this clear, but in this it's not. So, domestic violence has an intergenerational effect, with children witnessing abuse having multiple health problems. Men are less likely, which is why I'm not focusing on it, than women, to be victims of combined physical, emotional and sexual abuse from their partners, and thus have been researched to a less extent. So, she goes on to say, the association of domestic violence with more severe mental illness, for example bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, has been less explored. For example, from the limited studies, it would appear that the vast majority of people with severe mental health illness have experienced either physical or sexual assault during their lifetime, and this is often associated with a history of childhood abuse and substance misuse. Now, this is something really important that I want to kind of get through to you. You know, the way that we see mental health these days, we've moved away from the old-fashioned way of thinking it's something on your character, that you're weak and you can't cope with things, and partly to kind of do that, to make that transition, there's been a lot of emphasis on the chemical imbalances that are in the brain to do with mental health issues, and seeing these as a leading cause of depression or whatever. And people with depression will put online, on Facebook or whatever, little things from themselves that say, you know, it's an illness, it's not my fault, I didn't ask for this, you know, those kind of things, and that's really great. But what you really find with severe mental health problems, with any mental health problems, or maybe most, I have met some people where it's clearly just chemical, mainly chemical, and to do with the thought process that can be challenged. It's not just to do with a chemical imbalance in your brain. It's to do with you, your whole person, the way that you think, the way that you accept the world, the way that you see the world, the way that you see yourself. And all of that will be shaped by what you've been through in your life. And if you have been through traumatic problems, traumatic issues, and this is saying clearly that most people with mental health issues have had some experience of domestic violence, whether as a child or whether as an adult or both. And these things are traumatic. Now, this doesn't mean that you're weak and you couldn't cope with it, because nobody else could cope with these things either without becoming mentally ill, I'm sure, the circumstances of your life. But we need to kind of, personally, I think we need to stop thinking that we need to justify ourselves. Childhood trauma and adult trauma and these things are enough. It's enough. And people that don't accept that and don't understand that maybe sometimes you think and behave strangely because you have been through so much, those are people that it's not worth dealing with until they grow up a little bit. So maybe we need to start reclaiming the causes of mental illness as psychological, rather than putting everything down to oh yeah, I have a chemical imbalance, it's not my fault. Well, maybe there's a reason that triggered that chemical imbalance, and I think that's worth thinking about, okay? So, right, what she goes on to say, she says service user and professional views. She says the main findings are that service users are reluctant to disclose domestic violence because of their fear about the potential consequences of such a disclosure. Now, in the UK, for instance, I can't speak about anywhere else, if you suffer from domestic violence and there are children in your household, it is immediately nowadays, and I completely understand why, I'm not judging it, or criticising it, but it's immediately reported to social services so they can keep an eye on your children, because the studies have shown that children from domestic violence backgrounds, they don't do so good, basically, in school and other places, and they're at risk of abuse themselves. But for the woman who is being beaten, that's something that she might think, well, I'm scared. I don't want someone else taking control of my children's lives. I don't want someone taking control of my life. Maybe I still love this man. I don't know. I'm terrified of this man. What if they handle it badly? So that fear of the lack of control of someone coming in and taking over your life from the moment you report it is very real to a lot of women and terrifying, you know? They would rather put up with being beaten than the thought of, say, one of their children being taken into care. Okay? So why isn't it widely reported? So what they've found is that with people with mental health issues, their domestic violence isn't widely reported, but they know it's going on. But why? Why aren't they reporting this? And what she said is research has shown that domestic violence victims are often judged, not believed, and blamed by health professionals. So it's no wonder that victims are hesitant to bring up the violence. In the main, health professionals have not had specific undergraduate or postgraduate training on this issue. She goes on to say female survivors describe wanting primary care health providers to listen, show validation, empathy, and non-judgmental and confidential responses. These skills are all within the scope of experienced mental health professionals. The paper in this journal also raises the issue of whether the perpetration of violence by individuals who are mentally unwell is overstated. So whether, saying mentally, oh, they're mad, or might be violent, or, in the newspaper, schizophrenic, oh, he chopped that woman's head off, he did this, is that overstated? And many mental health providers assessing risk of perpetration of violence by clients. So they assess the risk of their clients being violent to others thoroughly, but they don't assess their clients' experiences of violence. And as we can see that with women, particularly, who are vulnerable and fragile and have mental health issues, this is a big mistake, because most of us will have been through violence at some point or another. Okay, so in fact, mental health service users are more likely to be victims of violence than perpetrators. This is what all the studies show. I don't even know if I can be bothered doing a vlog about it. I am more likely to be physically attacked or be abused than you are by me, except maybe my ex-husband. But if you knew him, you'd understand that he deserves it if I ever did attack him. I'm not saying I'm going to, but there you go. So, right, so psychiatry throughout history has focused on perpetration of violence by people who are mentally unwell and the experience of childhood abuse contributing to mental health issues, rather than experience of adult abuse. So, there you go, adult abuse. I'm going to put this to one side now. As adults, with some severe issues, we are vulnerable, and the more unwell you are, the more vulnerable you are, the less likely you are. I think, to be honest, the people who are the most fragile are not going to be the people who are watching this video who are tuned into the fact that they do have a mental health issue and they're interested in finding out more about it. It's going to be the people that have never even been diagnosed, or if they've been diagnosed, they don't really take it on board, and they're still caught up in the severe illness of what's going on in their minds. I was going to sort of bounce straight after this into my personal experiences of this, but I think what I'm going to do is knock this one on the head and keep this scientific. And I hope you enjoy it. You probably don't. And I'll come back sort of in 10 minutes or so. I'm going to go make a cup of coffee or tea or something. And I might tell you a few bits and pieces about me, but I need to think about what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say from the point of view of people that I love. Okay? So I love you. God bless. Good course, and bye bye. Hope you enjoyed it. Love you.